was brought to life. The, the suspect admitted to the crime and pled guilty. The mother moved as soon as possible, but the young girl is currently in intensive therapy and is having a very difficult time being in the company of adult males. She also doesn't like seeing the couch where the abuse occurred. The other writer wrote, a young man in his 20s was shot to death in front of his home, which he shared with his mother. He had been repairing his nephew's bicycle when he saw a man beating a woman in a nearby car. He intervened to protect her, and the car drove away quickly. The male driver returned a short while later and shot him as he continued to repair the bike. The perpetrator then fled the scene. The devastated family was having a difficult time paying for his funeral arrangement. So despite his innocence, and despite the fact that he was acting as a good Samaritan, he prevented the brutal beating of a young woman. He paid the ultimate price, and his family could not afford to bury him. Lastly, a young widow mother was at a party with her 2 young children, ages 9 and 5. They were innocent bystanders. When an angry man entered the party, confronted his estranged wife, and shot her and killed her, and then himself. One of the bullets that killed the woman went through her body and lodged itself in the innocent 9-year-old girl. The girl survived, but has had to undergo intensive physical and psychological therapy to recover from the trauma of the event. The child's mother has had to take considerable time away from her job to attend to the child's condition. As stated earlier, we may or may not know of individuals who have experienced some unexplainable and imaginary circumstances, and experiences that may result in paralysis of their thoughts and their actions. What I'm talking about this evening is victims. By definition, a victim is a person who have been harmed or injured or killed as a result of a crime, an accident, or other event or action. But, what does it really mean to be a victim? What are some of the character traits of victims? That's where I would like for us to begin this evening. Some research suggests that victims illustrate behaviors. Their behaviors varies. Some may illustrate low self-esteem and has poor self-image, which is understandable given the circumstance. Given the circumstances, what we talked about earlier, in the case of the 9-year-old girl being a victim, of the or the guy that actually died, who was providing assistance to that woman that was being beaten. So it's I think the danger in it, in having that low self-esteem or poor self-image, is remaining in that state. You can experience certain things that can have an effect on you, but if you remain in that state, the chances, or the longer I should say, that you remain in that state, your chances of getting out of it, it diminishes, and not to mention, it can affect you in the long run. Affect your future, your relationship. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts in terms of low self-esteem and poor self-image? Do you agree?
Yeah, of course. I mean, every victim, excuse me, to some extent, once you're a victim, there is some sort of low self-esteem. There is no self-worth, so to speak, and stuff like that. Now, I mean, that's the commonality in a lot of victims. The self-pity, the excuse me, the whole, save me mentality, so to speak. So yeah, I agree.
But I believe it's important that regardless of the situation, we as individuals who may or may not have experienced that, those of us that are on the outside, or those of us that may know someone who may have experienced one of these circumstances or are currently in that state of low self-esteem and low self-image, it's important that we educate them on, find whatever tools are necessary or whatever tools are available to educate them and to motivate them to get them back to that state where they're not in that state of mind of low self-image, because you know that can eventually lead to depression and suicide and so forth, and possible homicide as well.
Of course.
The next character trait that research suggests is emotional and economic dependency. And it's my opinion that dependency on anything or anyone can be devastating and it can be dangerous. God forbid something happens to that thing that you hold as a crutch. You know what I mean? You can, as I said it before, experience paralysis and be in a worse state than you were in initially.
Right. Well, let's see. Excuse me. I got my whole under the weather thing is getting to me. Yeah, I mean, again, like I say, victims. I mean, you find them in everything. I don't know so much. Well, then again, you could say, yeah, with the whole depending on people thing.
Yeah, it's possible that, okay, for instance, someone may, if they experience a situation, and say, for instance, some of the victims here, they're currently receiving therapy, psychological, physical therapy. They may or may not become dependent on that. I mean, this is just an example, and maybe far-fetched,
right, yeah.
But they may build some sort of attachment to that physical therapist or psychiatrist or person that's providing the education. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if that relationship ends, who knows what could possibly happen?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
So to a certain extent, the person, the victim, may become attached, may form some sort of attachment to something or someone. You know what I mean? As a means of coping with that thing that they've experienced.
A substitute, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. See, the thing is with the victims, some victims just need to learn how to let go. In a situation like that, like a few of them that you gave us in the beginning, where certain people can't cope because they went through some type of traumatic tragedy or whatever the case may be, some people have to learn to get past that point. It's just like I told you that I spoke to a young lady, well, an older lady, that her mom passed away, and she I mean, it's like she was blaming herself, yet still she wasn't blaming herself, but her whole world fell apart. You know what I mean? She stopped hanging out with her with friends. She kind of like pushed her husband to the side.
Isolation, that's
like
another
that.
one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. She started doing all of that because of the loss.
Yeah.
Losing her mom and stuff like that. And I try to break it down to her and tell her, what happened. It's one day at a time. You have to learn how to release. Even though your mom is your clutch or your backbone or
support,
whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? You got to do like the Eagles do. Just like I was telling you about the Eagles, when they have their young, what they do is to teach their youngs how to fly, they would actually push off the youngs and dip down under them and carry them on their back and soar all the way up as high as they can, and then turn over and let that little eagle fall. Mm-hmm. And then, they will do it a couple of times until that baby eagle becomes too heavy for them. And then at that point, when they let them go, it's sink or swim. It's up to you to fly or not. And stuff like that. And some people
it's a
just
learning
have to,
mechanism.
Yeah, it's a learning mechanism. That teaches the bird how to fly. That's what you're
how
made
to survive.
for. And people have to learn how to let go, and that's what they have to do. They have to get to a point where they realize, hey, I'm not doing myself any good holding on to a past.
Yeah.
The person is already gone, or whatever happened already. There is nothing you could do to go take that back, or or whatever. You can't fix it. It's already done. It's already gone.
Now it's time to move.
Right.
Forward.
That's why Paul said it in the Bible. You know what? Forgetting the things that are in the past, I press on. I move on. You have to learn how to let go of the past and cling to your future, or forward.
And you have to start somewhere.
Move. Yeah, you have to
no
start
one's saying
somewhere.
that you have to make a drastic move, but start somewhere. I mean,
you do.
One day at a time, like our DJ just stated.
You do.
You know?
I mean, that's the only way you will make it. The only way you will survive. If you don't try to do something, if you don't try to move from your state, all you're gonna do is just drag yourself down more into it. And then you know what? You're not thinking about the people around you, which you're dragging them down also, because they trying to help you. They're concerned about you. They love you. They want to show you affection. They want to show you.
And no one wants to be around someone that is constantly in that state.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So then not only are you alienating, you may be isolating yourself, but you're also alienating those people that may love and care for you and want to actually provide that support. You know what I mean? And some people, honestly, they really don't have the skills necessary to deal with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some of them may decide to, you may have some that will hold on even closer. You know what I mean? They will embrace you even more because they have that drive and that desire to get you out of that state. And then you have those that are just straight up. They're going to give up,
So the whole thing is, you're the one that makes yourself a victim. Nobody really makes you a victim. You're the one that chooses to be a victim, or keep yourself in a state where you become a victim. Certain things happen, I agree. You know what I mean? Somebody snatch you up, rob you, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I understand that side of things. But for you to be pecked for the rest of your life about going out because you're so scared of somebody sticking you up again, you now made yourself a victim, whereas you could have had victory over what you just went through,
and be able to help someone else.
And help somebody else. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what you did wrong. You could analyze the whole situation, see what you do wrong, see how you can enhance your mechanism, where you'll be a lot, your safety mechanism, I would say, where you will be a lot safer out there, or feel safer, or what steps you could have taken and what you can take now.
True.
to make a better situation.
Pretty much avoiding that which may have occurred.
Yeah, it's just like I was telling someone, in all negativity, look for the positive thing in it, because there's always a positive thing in a negative. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. If you're bumping negative with negative, you're never going to have a positive. It's a positive and a positive, or a positive and a negative to give you a positive. So you have to look at the negative. You have to look at the positive in every negative situation that you're in. Maybe you didn't get that job. Maybe because, God didn't see you fit for that job, because the job would have been stressful, or the job would have been crazy. God didn't allow you to go down one road. He allowed you to go down another road so you could experience that and teach somebody else.
And you're here another day.
How to do,
Yeah, you survived.
That's the thing.
That thing that
and that's what
was meant to kill you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's what people that are victims, or made themselves victims, that's what they have to realize, that, hey, you know what? It's not that you haven't gone through it. You already went through it. The hard part is already done. You went through it already. Don't keep yourself in it. Try to move out of it, because you went through it already. You're going through it. You're putting yourself through it daily. By you sitting down crying, dwelling upon it, you're putting yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, what happened, that.
We're not negating that.
Yeah, but
that you grieve.
But it's important that you do grieve. You do get it out there, But in the same token, you have to realize there's a time to grieve and a time to let go. It's just like it says in the Bible again. You know what I mean? There are seasons for everything. Everything is a season. There's a time for harvest, a time for sowing, a time for harvest. And that's just how it is. Everything is a season, so you have to go for your season of moaning.